And I want to test the sound.
I do bring an empty flask.
Cool. You did?
I
I love that. Excellent. So, I think I just want to do some like vocal warm-ups and stuff like that, so if everyone can get into the spots. You know, I kind of like that tank top.
No.
No, you know? I
Just
don't-
like take
So,
it as I come to
Trevi, you are going to be behind Madison. And then you are opposite her. Where do you think that?
Do you want me to get rid of the chair?
I was gonna say, if you, I didn't know if you
I'm
wanted
gonna,
to sit.
I'm gonna stand too.
Is that Josh? I can track his location. Tell Josh I'm gonna call him. Yeah. Hi Josh, so I'm tracking your location. Can I'm trying to okay, Josh. So you're in the parking lot, right? Okay. Okay, so park there. So Josh, you're gonna have
Woman's voice, woman's voice. Girl voice, girl.
Yep.
Nope, got old.
I'm waiting for my brother who parked there. Okay, so when you see that sign, Josh, I'm gonna take a left.
Yep. I see the building, yeah.
Okay, so take the left.
Yeah, I'm going right from my car. I'm right next to you. Yeah, it's left.
Yeah. No. I think eventually I'll see him. No.
I actually did see. Oh, okay. You see from this right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think he'll know. No, yeah, I'm trying his location.
Which do I walk in the street building that says Citizen Bank?
So
Oh yeah, it's Student Union.
You see him?
Oh, he said student union.
yeah, so Josh, you're at Student Union, right?
Yep.
So take a right down there.
Alright.
Where
He's coming, he should be coming down that little path. He's in that.
Should make those
He's right towards the purple side.
That's Josh, do you see a little bit of bunch of windows? That, no, just comes up to you, right? Yeah, okay, do you see a building with a bunch of windows? Do you see me? Yeah, you do see me, so this is really getting around it.
Ask if you see someone with a pink wing.
Okay, so Josh, you're gonna walk in the building, and then you're gonna go up the stairs, and, to find room 200, okay? Okay, good. Ethan. So, Patrick and Trevi, I want to do a quick sound test.
Yes.
And also, like, this is pretty much like everybody's answer, because I think everyone's watching YouTube. So I think what we're gonna do is, I think I just wanna do like a sound check thing, I'm gonna make sure like I can hear it on YouTube.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So I think, can everyone just like do one of your lines and project like as loud as possible?
Me? Or do you want me to tone mine down a little bit? Because you know I can project.
Yeah, project like when we did Romeo and Juliet.
Do you have an extra paper one? Or?
Thank you.
That's all right.
Ethan, you wanna go first?
No, I'm going to rehab. 4 weeks beats 3 months.
Jail. You don't deserve to get off easy. You fucked up. You could have killed someone.
Madison, you wanna go first?
His unfocused eyes cut through the barrier of the glass.
Tell me a bit about yourself. Do you go to school?
Lily, like a tiny bit louder.
Let's start simple. How are you today?
Good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need your help. He can deal with that, he can deal with his own problems.
Excellent. I'm just gonna make sure the YouTube live heard it, and then. And I think once my brother gets here, we're like actually super. Oh, hi Ben. Roz, is any other,
Just inside.
just
Hey!
fun to be here, other than you say right now. So thank you all for being here. This is a project I wrote for my honors thesis. It's a screenplay. We will start with a short film I made that is a scene from the rest of the film. So we're gonna play the short film and then go straight into the reading. So.
Whatever. I'll be able to see about it.
You're already late.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a big deal. Stop wasting time. That's like so far away. Stop wasting time. It's this way. It looks fine, get over it. I don't blame him. Where the fuck is it? Different room. Hey! Found it! It's over here. Hey, she's right. It's over here. It's over here. We have this for everyone that takes time to go. We've already been there. Just trying to keep you safe.
Everybody's got some problems. We all got our demons, but that's what makes us human. It's okay to cry sometimes.
Public Park, 1 a.m. Police sirens ringing, car horn blaring, flashes of blue and red pulsing from the exterior of a car post-accident.
Covered in splinters, leaves, and tree branches, the car steadily loses stability as a tree stump cements itself further into the front bumper.
Through the driver's side window, Mason, 21-year-old college male, sits collapsed on top of the fleeing airman.
His unfocused eyes cut through the barrier of the glass. Is he alive? Empty cans and bottles litter the floor of the passenger seat.
An overflowing beer can spills across the dashboard. A knock is heard. You see an officer shining a flashlight through the window.
The light jolts Mason awake. Another knock on the door is heard.
Mason looks to the door handle. Title screen. Are you listening? Now in the courtroom lobby, day, Mason sits anxiously as he looks up to the door, down to his phone, back up at the door once more, and back down to his phone.
He stares into his endless Instagram feed. A 22-year-old woman, Paige, stands leaning against the wall to Mason's left. Her pink wig and silver dress reflect light throughout the room.
Mason briefly looks up to acknowledge her, returns his gaze to his phone.
Who's that? She's cute. You wanna fuck her, don't you?
Mason slides away from her.
Leave him alone.
The gravelly voice of a man is heard as the camera cuts to Antonio, 26. Across the hallway, he stands with such confidence and composure that it takes a moment to register that he's not wearing a shirt.
Still waiting?
Mason turns his phone off out of shame, avoids eye contact with Hope. Quick silver flashback cuts of the car crash flash through the screen as Mason tries to calm his nerves on his phone.
His lawyer, 35, enters through the door Paige is leaning on. When the door meets the wall, instead of hitting Paige, she disappears.
Across the room, Antonio disappears silently.
Great news, I worked it out with the prosecutor.
Mason stands up to give the lawyer his full attention.
As agreed, you will plead guilty and you have to choose between two options. 4 weeks of inpatient treatment in rehab or 3 months of prison.
Okay, do you need my answer right now?
No, we're waiting for the judge. You can wait out here and I'll call you when it's your time. Then you will tell the judge what you want to do.
Okay, thank you.
They shake hands and the lawyer returns to the room he was in. As soon as he closes the door, Paige and Antonio reappear like flickering lights.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I can't believe I'm asking my imaginary friends for legal advice. What should I do?
Rehab.
Jail.
Jail?
Rehab your shoulder.
Shorter is better.
Jail. You don't deserve to get off easy. You fucked up. You could have killed someone.
But he didn't.
What if he did?
When they found the body,
Mason stares into the distance as the voice of Antonio and Paige turns to white noise.
Because therapy is bullshit. I'm sad. Make me feel better. I'm a little bitch. Then you're like, it's okay. Nothing's your fault. Do whatever you want. $200, please. And after they just kill, rape, and steal whoever and whatever they want with no remorse.
they're getting paid to do their job. Their job is to make sure that doesn't happen.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
Mason fights to get his words out. Antonio switches his attention to Mason.
You know who goes to therapy?
Leave him alone, he needs this.
Bitch ass pussies. That's who. Life sucks. Get over it, man. Man up.
Mason takes a deep breath, punches his fist.
No, I'm going to rehab. 4 weeks beats 3 months.
Antonio stares him down, unsatisfied with his answer.
Plus, you can go to rehab and just bullshit your way through therapy.
Yeah, that sounds good.
The lawyer opens the door. On entry, Antonio and Paige disappear again as Mason shuts the door behind him. Rehab center. Dead. The hot sun shines down on the facility. Mason enters the building from the left, walking past a welcome sign that reads Ode for Recovery Center.
Rehab day. A staff member shows Mason around the facility. Mason wheels his heavy suitcase across the polished floor.
They reach the common room where one patient gloats over being another patient in chess.
And this is our common room. You can talk and socialize with other patients here.
Mason nods with a forced smile, politely nods to the other patients. They walk past the plastic-looking furniture and stop before a long hallway.
Down this hallway is where your therapy session will be.
It's not group therapy, is it?
You have individual sessions and group meetings.
Can I pick one or do I have to do both?
Both are required parts of our treatment here.
Flashes of Antonio and Paige are seen down the hallway, piercing Mason with their fiery gaze.
When is the first session?
The staff member removes a paper with detailed instructions and reads it.
Tomorrow, 8 a.m., room 105.
Mason sighs and paper. Now in the bedroom, Mason follows the staff member as they reach an empty room with the door open.
And this is your room. Sheets get switched every Friday, and you have central heating. On the desk is a form your counsel would like you to fill out before the first session. Don't worry, it's standard procedure for every new patient.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mason looks into the room and sees flashes of Paige crashing on the bed and Antonio ripping pieces of paper from a notebook and hands it. Cut back to the set.
One last thing. Can you give me your phone?
What? Why?
It's policy that new patients can't have their phones for the first week.
Antonio takes a step towards Mason.
It's your phone. You don't have to give it to them.
No, I'm not giving you my phone.
I'm sorry. I know it's difficult to give it up, but unfortunately it's our policy for everyone, so you can focus on treatment.
What? They don't trust you?
You don't trust me?
The staff member takes a step towards Mason.
I do trust you. Do you trust me?
Paige steps in between Mason and Antonio.
Mason, just give him the phone, it's easier.
Mason sighs. Antonio backs up from Mason. Mason shuts his phone off and gives it to the staff.
Thank you. Have a great day.
The staff member walks away, leaving Mason alone in his room. He stands lost in space, throws his arms in the air.
Bedroom, night. Mason opens his suitcase, removes nicely folded laundry, hangs them sloppily in the closet. Antonio gives a look to the clothes. Mason adjusts.
The bottom of the suitcase is a letter. It reads, I love you, Mom. Mason reads the note and fights tears emerging from his eyes. He hears a crying noise.
I love Mom, she's so nice. I wish you would call her.
Mason crosses the desk to hand Paige a tissue. He goes back to hanging his clothes.
A wet paper ball hits Mason on his cheek. He scratches his cheek. Another hit. He turns to the origin of the paper. Antonio. Removing a paper straw from his mouth. Mason gives Antonio the finger and returns to folding his laundry. Antonio fires one last paper ball.
Mason charges to Antonio.
Fuck off! Oh, what? You'll cry to your mommy. Help! I'm being bullied by my imaginary friends.
Mason punches Antonio.
Finally!
Antonio enters a boxing position. Mason clenches his fist. Then instead of fighting, he collapses onto the bed.
Bedroom, 10:04 p.m. A digital clock on the desk, 10:04 p.m.
Antonio watches a violent action scene from his phone and laughs obnoxiously and blinks in the air. Mason stares at the back of his phone.
Paige gasps in response to a text she receives. Mason releases a pent-up sigh.
Bedroom, 1 a.m. The waxing crescent moon illuminates the room through the window. The clock turns from 12:59 to 1 as Mason restlessly turns over and stares out the window.
Antonio takes a sip from his glass.
Should have picked jail.
Paige takes a seat next to him.
I'll drink to that.
They clink their respective drinks. Paige takes a sip from a bottle of rosé. She leaves the bottle open and lets it face Mason.
Mason stares at the bottle like a lost puppy. He redirects his attention to the paper form on the desk.
Mason gets up, turns the desk light on, sits down, takes a pen, and reads the first question.
How often do you feel depressed, hopeless, or like you'll never feel happy again?
Never, sometimes, always.
Mason sits back as he considers his answer. Looks to Antonio and Paige for an answer.
Never, we're bullshitting, right?
Mason circles never. Moves on to the next question.
How often do you feel controlled by your fears, worries, or anxieties?
Never, sometimes, always.
Mason circles never. Looks up. Paige winks at him. Moves on to the next question.
How often do you have thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else?
Never, sometimes, always.
Silence as they all ponder the question. Mason is about to start with never.
No, you can't say never. You've said never to everything.
Yeah, we're bullshitting.
But if he only answers never, she'll see what he's doing.
What will happen if she finds out?
You'll get caught. And go to jail.
What do we do?
Bury the answers.
Okay, but I can't say I sometimes think about hurting myself or others.
So change the other two and be both sometimes. Then say never for the third one.
Mason nods his head, changes previous answers, and continues the process.
Bedroom, morning. Clock alarm blaring. 7:30 a.m. Mason's eyes slowly open.
Paige removes an eye mask from her eyes. Antonio stretches with a loud groan. A loud knock on the door startles Mason.
Good morning. If you're hungry, breakfast is made to order in the kitchen. They're serving custom omelets today.
Thank you.
Of course. And remember, your therapy session starts in half an hour.
Thank you.
The staff member closes the door. Mason exits his bed, grabs a paper with the meeting information from the desk.
Mason emerges from the endless sea of beige walls. He walks down the end of the hallway where Antonio and Paige are seen to his right.
You're already late.
Should have picked jail.
Mason walks past without acknowledging them. They fade into the walls. Mason returns to what looks like the same hallway he just came from.
He takes out the paper from earlier, focuses on the room number, 105, dashes to the nearest room number, 130. Paige peers over his shoulder.
That's like so far away.
Antonio appears on the other side of his shoulder, rips the paper from his hand.
Stop wasting time. It's this way.
He points down the hall facing him. The hallway stares back at Mason.
His hand shivers, picks at his skin. Paige and Antonio appear down the hallway. Mason takes a breath and walks through.
As he is walking through the hallway, Paige and Antonio bicker. Mason reaches the end of the hallway. Still no clue where the room is. Paige and Antonio reappear.
Where the fuck is it?
Antonio screams in performative anger and punches the wall. Mason observes him and looks past to see a door.
Mason looks at the door, gestures to Antonio to return the paper. Antonio reads the paper.
Different room.
Antonio shoves the paper in his mouth. Paige shouts from across the hall.
Hey! I found it! It's over here.
Antonio walks over.
She's right. It's over here.
Antonio and Paige stand under an exit sign. Mason goes in the opposite direction of them. They run after him.
If it isn't for everyone,
Want
this
to go
time,
you would have already been there.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
We're trying to keep you safe.
Mason takes a step, reaches for the doorknob. Paige grabs hold of Mason's hand and holds it against the wall.
Antonio holds Mason's arm down. Mason breaks through their grasp and reaches for the door. Antonio and Paige drag his arm down. The moment Mason grabs hold of the doorknob, Antonio and Paige's arms disappear.
Therapist office. Day. Mason walks in, sees the couch facing Jennifer. Notebook in her hand, adjusts her glasses.
Hi, Mason. Please, take a seat.
Mason quickly hands the phone to Jennifer.
Nice handwriting. A lot of patients, especially guys, have horrible penmanship.
Mason smiles in response as he says,
What are you calling him, a faggot?
Paige places her hand on Antonio's shoulder as they make themselves comfortable behind Mason, staring down Jennifer.
Let's get to know each other. I'm Jennifer, and I'm assigned to be your counselor.
I'm Mason.
I've seen a lot of patients, a lot of different patients, people with a lot of different problems.
Mason's different. He's tough.
Yeah, he doesn't need your help. He can deal with his own problems.
I can deal with my problems.
I can tell, but it seems like you could use some help.
Mason nods.
That's why I'm here. I can help you. But to do that, you need to meet me halfway. You need to be honest with me so I can figure out how to help you. Everything you tell me is private unless you tell me you plan on hurting yourself or someone else.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, so let's start simple. How are you today?
Wow. Great question, Doc.
You can't say that.
Fine.
Fine.
Well, wait, that's too obvious.
Well, it's too late now.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you go to school?
This is boring. Wake me up when it gets interesting.
Antonio falls asleep on the floor behind the couch. Paige sits on the couch beside Mason.
Mason looks to her for an answer. She shrugs.
Yeah, I'm an accounting major at Bridgeport.
What made you want to be an accounting major?
Figured it would be easy to find a job after graduating.
Do you like accounting?
Does anyone like accounting?
Does anyone like accounting? It's a job. I don't have to like it. Not everyone loves their job.
I love my job.
Sit in Sam's room.
Who do you spend time with outside of school?
Oh, there's Tyler. He's hysterical. And Valerie, she's cool. Oh, and Mel.
She doesn't need to know their names.
Different people from class. There's a cafe on campus we like to go to.
Do you like being with them?
Yeah.
Antonio speaks for a moment before returning back to sleep.
They can be assholes sometimes.
I mean, of course they could sometimes. They act like assholes. Shit. Sorry.
spend money on stupid shit?
Yes.
Because he's not a bitch ass pussy.
Paige places her hand on Antonio's shoulder.
I know this seems scary, but we'll take things slow. And I promise it won't be as bad as you think. Let's talk about why you're here. Is that okay?
Mason nods and takes a breath before he speaks.
You had way too many drinks.
You fucked up.
I fucked up. I had way too many drinks.
You should have called for a ride home.
I should have called for a ride home.
It was so dangerous and irresponsible.
It was so dangerous and irresponsible.
Someone could have died.
It was a stupid one-time mistake.
It was so stupid. I was so stupid. Someone could have died. I will never make that mistake again.
What happened after you got in the car?
Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, crashed his car into a tree.
Well, yeah, but before that.
The next thing I remember, I woke up in my car, crashed into a tree. I never should have gone that far.
Why did you go to the bar? Did something happen?
You would have to tell her.
We practiced this, remember?
Nothing happened.
What do you mean nothing?
I mean, it was another normal day.
Do a lot of your normal days end with you in a bar?
Fuck off!
Antonio stands up and faces. Paige follows.
Every Friday I go to the bar, sort of like closing out the week type of thing.
Antonio and Paige turn their heads to Mason.
Why did you say that?
Mason scratches his head and the back of his neck.
Is there anything else you like to do to relax?
He's never relaxed.
Except when he's drinking.
I'm never relaxed except when I'm drinking.
Mason pauses, realizing what he just said. Antonio punches a wall and Paige screams into a pillow.
Why did you say that?
Say that.
Mason flinches in response.
That's not part of the plan.
It's supposed to be bullshit!
They sit in silence for a moment.
Thank you for being honest. I can tell that was tough. Do you want to take a beat?
Mason nods. A beat.
Let's switch gears. Can you tell me about the first time you drank?
Antonio jumps up out of excitement, exits.
Fuck yes!
Paige rolls her eyes sarcastically.
Go get the book, buddy.
Antonio returns holding a book. It reads, First Time Mason Drank, written by Antonio, in white text on brown leather binding. Scribbled on with pink marker reads, and Paige.
I love this story.
Antonio sits down behind Mason and flips through the book. He puts on reading glasses. Paige sits behind him.
It's one of your better ones.
Yeah, I can do that.
Mason's dialogue carries into voiceover for the next scene. Living room, night.
A blank screen on a television set is seen as the camera pans back, revealing Mason and Jennifer sitting on a couch.
I was 10. I was watching TV with my parents.
Sock puppet versions of Antonio and Paige appear on the television. They are in a spotlight against a backdrop of red curtains.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land,
There was a very special prince living in a castle made of sand.
I went to reach for my drink.
The sock puppet of Antonio reaches for the TV.
hey! Listen when I'm talking to you, you fucking twink.
The sock puppet grabs Mason by his collar and pulls him into the television. Jennifer stays on the couch watching. Void, unspecified time.
In the world of the TV, Mason stands visibly confused between Paige and Antonio, who are still puppets. He sees a beer can in an empty void through the other end of the television.
Then, instead of grabbing my drink, I accidentally reached for my dad's beer can.
Mason reaches for the beer, but the sock puppets transform into fabric and wrap around him.
I was more confused than anything else. My dad was yelling at me, my mom was laughing. I didn't know if I should put it down or take a sip.
The beer can is on the tip of Mason's fingers. Mason's arm is covered in fabric. Time stops.
But then my dad stopped yelling, and my mom stopped laughing, and they were just looking at me.
As soon as Mason makes contact with the can, it transforms into a red solo cup. Back to the living room. Night.
Mason returns to the couch, sitting with Jennifer. Now a tower of red solo cups lies clouds on the carpet. Mason turns his head to Jennifer. Jennifer's dialogue carries into voiceover.
So that's the first time you drank?
Yes.
Therapist's office. Dead.
While I do love a good story, I can't help you unless you tell me the truth.
That wasn't a story. That's real. That's the truth.
The story might be real, but that doesn't mean it's the truth. Let me ask you something. Do you think you need to be here?
Mason looks to Antonio and Paige.
Tell her.
She asked.
Mason takes a breath.
No. The court said I could be here instead of jail. I thought this would be better.
I mean, in therapy, with me. Do you think you need to talk to me in order for rehab to work?
No. I'm sure the other patients you see can talk about their issues, but not me. I'd just be wasting your time.
You can continue to tell me stories, but that would be a waste of time. For both of us, if you really want this to actually work, you need to tell me the truth. The things that really matter.
Cut to the bedroom. Night. In pajamas, Mason lies awake staring at the ceiling. Antonio rips a piece of paper from the notebook of the desk.
The story might be real. That doesn't mean it's the truth. What does that even mean?
Paige removes makeup.
How does she know that story isn't real? It totally could have happened.
What a bitch.
I don't know. It wasn't that bad. She knew the story wasn't real, but let me tell it anyway.
Mason sits on the bed. Antonio and Paige join him.
We're still gonna keep the plan, right?
You don't need to tell her anything you don't want to.
Don't worry. It's okay. I'll just tell her a different story.
Paige and Antonio move off the bed. Mason lies back down. Bedroom. Next day.
The sun shines through the door as Mason walks out, with Antonio and Paige behind him. Hallway. Day. Mason walks down towards Jennifer's office, opens the door.
Therapist's office. Dead. Jennifer places a teacup on the desk as she takes a seat. Mason takes a seat opposite her. Antonio and Paige sit behind him.
Good morning.
Morning.
Are you going to tell me another story today? Or are you going to tell me something honest?
Mason sits silently.
Tell her the race car story.
No, that sucks. Tell her about Rebecca.
No.
Tell her about Brad.
No.
Jesus, what can you talk about?
The race car story.
The race car story is stupid.
Oh, you think of something.
You rejected everything I said.
What are you so afraid of?
Another moment of silence passes.
I can't help you if you don't talk to me.
You don't have to tell her anything you don't want to.
I don't have to tell you anything I don't want to.
You're right. You don't. You can continue on the path you're going, or you can try something different. It's up to you.
Okay?
In order for this to work, you have to tell me something honest.
What the fuck does she mean?
You mean?
Shit. Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
I yelled at you. Sorry.
It's okay. You can yell. You can say anything you want.
Anything so long as it's honest.
Yes.
Okay? I have to.
Living room, evening. Jennifer sits in the same living room from before, riddled with more red solo cups and empty bottles.
Zoom out to reveal Mason walking around with a bottle of rum. On his way to refill drinks, 3 pairs of Antonio and Paige replicas having 3 individual conversations.
Mason walks to the far left, Paige in a black dress sitting by the window with another Paige in a cardigan and jeans. He fills their red solo cups.
Then she took his phone and sent it to a ton of people.
Paige in a cardigan gasped in shock.
Mason scurries to Antonio in a football jersey and sits on the stairs with Paige in a crop top, laying her head in his lap.
Wow, you are so brave.
It's nothing. I try to catch birds at least twice a week.
Mason reaches Antonio in a suit jacket, no shirt underneath, who is writing notes with Antonio in a graphic t-shirt.
How much for the mitosis lab?
Antonio in a graphic t-shirt writes a number on a piece of paper and slides it across the table to Antonio in a suit.
Deal.
They shake hands. Mason makes his way to the couch with Jennifer.
I threw a party, had a ton of people over.
Mason turns to Paige, black dress, and Paige, cardigan, laughing and vaping by the window.
Ash and Donna, I think they're dating now, or dated, not sure.
He then turns to Antonio jersey and Paige crop top.
Eliza can do so much better than Alex, but they like got married, I think. Good for them.
He turns to Antonio's suit jacket and Antonio's t-shirt at the table.
Brad got wicked rich because so many students like Liam paid him to do their homework.
Quite the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What was the party for?
Across from them, a television plays a New Year's Eve countdown. All of the Antonio and Paige's countdown to the new year and kiss each other.
3, 2, 1.
Ah.
The phone dialing sound is heard. Everyone turns their heads to Mason.
Are you calling someone?
No. My phone's over there.
He gets up and walks toward the table.
Where were your parents?
They were away for the night, but came back in the morning. I was too hungover to clean before they got back.
The vibration sound screeches through their ears.
You need to tell me who you were calling.
Mason follows the noise. A sea of Antonio and Paige's form around him.
He swims through the massive bodies. He lands on the table, his phone ringing with the source of the vibration sounds.
The phone is calling a contact named Michelle. Mason's eyes lock on the contact.
No one.
The crowd of Paiges and Antonios push him back to Jennifer.
Who's Michelle?
No one.
Mason, what happened?
Mason looks back. The sea of Antonio and Paige replicas standing in between Mason and the phone. Mason turns to Jennifer.
I can't remember.
Try.
Mason walks through, fighting the crowded mass. Mason pushes furiously through their bodies. Mason reaches the phone. The entire mass of Antonios and Paiges disappear.
The phone dialing sound stops. Mason stands in silence. He opens a bottle of rum and drinks from it.
He goes to the window. Text messages are projected onto the window. It is a text exchange between Mason, Ash, and Donna.
A message from Donna reads, "Thank you for the invite, but I'm going out with Ash, so sorry." After reading the messages, Mason pours himself another drink.
He moves to the stairwell where the text message is projected onto the wall. The text reads, "Delivered 2 hours ago."
After reading, he takes another drink. He then moves to the table where a projection of this text plays. The text reads, "Brad, can't tonight, man. Let me know next time."
Liam, me neither, so sorry. Mason sits at the table, pours another drink with his phone dialing in.
Hello?
Mason doesn't answer.
You called me 3 times, dude, and you don't have anything to say? What the fuck? I don't get you like at all. You're so weird and quiet, and everyone thinks you're gonna be a school shooter. That's why no one talks to you. And even when you do talk about, it's always about the stupidest random shit. No one thinks you're cool, artsy, free-spirited, whatever. You're just a weird asshole.
Hangs up. Mason finishes the bottle of rum, collapses on the couch.
Therapist office. Sit. Now Mason sits, eyes puffy, looking at Jennifer. Antonio and Paige are mouthing words that Mason can't hear.
Was that the first time you drank too much?
Mason nods.
Thank you for being honest. How do you feel now?
Weird. But it felt good to talk about it.
These are the things that we need to talk about.
I understand. Thank you.
You don't need to thank me.
Mason takes a deep inhale and rubs his eyes.
Sorry.
You have nothing to be sorry about.
Jennifer hands Mason a tissue.
Thank you.
You said that.
Sorry.
You said that too.
Sorry.
They laugh. The camera pulls out as they talk. Conference room, unspecified time. Antonio and Paige stare at a board with pictures of Mason and Jennifer. Paige plays with the spool jar and Antonio writes a note.
Why couldn't he hear us?
Antonio stabs a thumbtack into a picture of Jennifer.
She silenced us.
Fucking bitch. Why didn't he stop talking when the phone rang?
He trusts her.
Do you think he's going to tell her the secret?
Not right away. But he will if she pushes him.
What do we do if that happens?
We can try to just keep talking during the next session. Loud enough that he has to listen.
A B.
Or, since he can't hear us, we can take advantage of him ignoring us.
Go on.
When the session starts, don't try to talk. Don't move. Do nothing.
What about when he starts telling the story?
That,
When he gets closer to the secret?
that's when we go.
Yes.
Use the shit out of him.
Scare him.
So much that he chooses to turn back.
And how are we going to do that?
Antonio scratches his beard and sits back down. He returns to writing in his notebook. Paige takes a seat next to him.
He rips the finished page out, pins it on the wall. Paige goes to move it.
Yes.
Antonio continues writing as Paige peers over his shoulder.
Bedroom, day. The sun shines through the window as Mason takes his way to the door.
Antonio and Paige stand motionless, stare into the distance. Mason peers over his shoulder to them out of fear as he hesitates.
Therapist office, day. Mason takes his usual seat. Antonio and Paige sit behind Jennifer, staring at Mason.
What brought you to the bar on that Friday?
Mason looks to Antonio and Paige, who say nothing. Mason's eyes widen. He looks back to Jennifer, where he relaxes his shoulders.
It was just another Friday.
Bar, night. Mason and Jennifer sit at an empty bar. Antonio is the bartender. His back is turned to them.
Paige stumbles out of the woman's room and collapses in the room.
Got through another week of school and wanted to just do something to relax.
How many drinks did you have before you got in the car?
5 glasses appear in front of them. Jennifer counts them. Mason removes a napkin underneath one of the glasses.
The napkin reads, too many. Mason turns the napkin over.
Too many.
When did you leave the bar?
Mason looks up to a clock on the wall. The time reads, time to go home.
I think it was around 11.
In the car, night. Mason sits in the driver's seat with Jennifer in the passenger seat.
Why didn't you call for a ride?
Antonio and Paige share a glance.
Now?
I don't know.
A piece of paper hits the windshield, startling Jennifer and Mason. The paper reads, "You should have called for a ride." Mason activates the windshield wiper.
What was bothering you when this happened?
Another piece of paper hits the driver's side window. The paper reads, nothing.
Nothing.
Are you being honest?
Mason takes a deep inhale.
It was nothing. I mean, nothing real.
So what's wrong?
Paige is shaking with anxiety.
No.
No. When? I don't know!
I don't know!
So you're in the car. Did you want to go home?
No.
Where did you go?
A whirlwind of paper covers all the windows of the car.
I don't remember.
Why?
Mason activates the windshield wipers again, but with every paper that's cleared away, 2 more appear.
I went to a park in my neighborhood. I went there a lot as a kid.
Mason and Jennifer exit the car.
Park, midnight. They stand in an empty park. Antonio and Paige sit on a swing set in between them and the car, now crashed into the tree.
Why the park?
It was empty.
How did you end up crashing into a tree?
Mason takes a moment to answer.
Now?
Not quite.
Was it an accident?
Yeah.
How did it happen?
No!
No!
I was drunk!
Are you being honest?
Paige looks to Antonio.
Now.
Antonio and Paige jump out of the swings and rush to Mason.
Stop talking right now!
You were drunk.
You didn't know what you were doing.
And you still don't know what you're doing.
Don't say
Another word.
Mason gasps for breath underneath of sheets of paper. He now sits alone in the car.
Cut to a wide view of the scene. Mason very clearly purposely rams his car into the tree. Therapist office night. Mason blows his nose and places a tissue down on the table in front of him with a mountain of tissues. He just barely gets his words out.
I crashed into the tree. On purpose. I thought it was the only way. reminding myself how horrible I am. Every mistake I've made, over and over again. When I drink, I forget, but I always get reminded. Again, so I keep drinking, but that night, no amount of drinking was enough. I needed a break, just for a moment.
Since then, have you tried hurting yourself?
If we tried again, we wouldn't have failed.
He hasn't thought about it again. Like we said earlier, one-time mistake.
No, I was tired, drunk, and in that moment, it was the only way I thought I could change.
Do you still think it's the only way to change now?
Don't look at me. You don't want my answer to that question.
No, I don't feel that way because of you. You helped me realize that I can change.
No, you helped me realize that I do have options. Thank you.
What do you want to do now?
I think I want to go back to my room. That was a lot. Is that okay?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mason gets up and heads to the door.
If you need to talk again later, please don't hesitate to let a staff member know. I'm on call for the rest of the night.
Okay, thank you.
Mason slams the door shut. Bedroom, day. Mason enters, slams the door shut.
Rapidly makes a fist like squeezing an invisible orange. He rips the hanger out of the closet. He doesn't notice the clothes falling to the floor. Snaps the hanger in half. Picks up the clothes, realizing there's now no space for them.
He takes a deep breath, drops the clothes, and sits on the bed. Antonio and Paige stand across from him.
I thought the point of therapy was to make you feel better.
Mason looks away from her. Antonio crosses to sit with Mason.
We knew this would happen. If you just listened to us, you wouldn't be confused.
Mason stands up in between Antonio and Paige.
I'm not confused.
Paige and Antonio stare. Mason stares back.
Look at yourself. You think this is better than jail?
You told her that you're suicidal. We told you not to tell her, and you did it anyway.
This is what happens when you're honest.
Mason sits back down, cries.
What are you doing?
Mason turns away from Antonio.
Maybe just leave him alone.
No!
Antonio forces Mason to make eye contact with him.
Stop this! This isn't you! You're tough! Shit doesn't hurt you the way it hurts others!
It does?
Paige goes to confront Mason, holding a bottle of wine.
Honey, I know it will make you feel better.
Mason looks up at her.
No? What do you mean?
We're in rehab, dumbass. Where's he gonna get a drink?
We have to leave.
They'll catch us. And after he ran his mouth like that, they'll send him to some insane asylum.
Not if he doesn't get caught.
He's not smart enough to get away with it.
Stop! I'm staying. I'm completing the treatment, going home, that's it!
Antonio and Paige close in on Mason.
You're not going back.
You really think that's the best decision?
We had a good thing going. We took care of things perfectly.
You call this perfect?
Things were perfect before she got here.
I drank too much. I tried to kill myself and crashed my car.
You made one mistake. Had one bad night. It happens. You just bullshitted your way through the sessions like we agreed on. You wouldn't be so upset right now.
Now you're just as likely to make another stupid mistake again.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you fucking are. This is how it starts. You're moping around about some bullshit. You'll drink to feel better, then do something stupid.
He's right.
Okay, what do I do?
Don't make him say it.
Go to jail. When you go back tomorrow, tell you changed your mind.
How's that going to be any better?
You don't deserve better.
If I go to jail, nothing's gonna change.
A beat.
There is a third option.
She looks to Antonio. He gives her a nod.
What? What is it?
Paige takes a breath.
Climb out the window?
Try again.
What?
Try again.
Sneak through the kitchen?
Paige shakes her head, sits Mason down.
Try again.
Mason's eyes widen.
We agree that you're gonna end up killing yourself anyways.
You tried therapy and it just made you worse.
Do you really want to keep living the way you have been?
There's only one thing you can do right now.
Mason sits silently for a beat. His eyes dash back and forth.
Do you want to leave a note?
Mason goes to his desk, with Antonio and Paige over his shoulders, holding a pencil. His breath increases in speed and intensity.
Antonio puts his hand on Mason's shoulder.
This is the right thing to do.
Back at the park, night, back at the site of the car accident, Mason stands on the outside of the car.
Antonio and Paige exit the car from the back doors and open the driver's door. Antonio gestures to Mason to go in.
In the bedroom, Day, Mason taps his pen against the blank sheet of paper.
Nobody likes me.
You are
Mason
right
drops
for
the
that.
pencil.
Why, it's true.
Park, night. Mason runs away from Antonio and Paige.
Great! Shouldn't have skipped leg day.
Mason runs. He thinks he escaped them. Antonio appears in front of Mason, stops him, grabs hold of his collar.
Bar, night. Mason stands, finding himself in the bar from the third memories.
Empty glasses, bottles, and cans fill every empty space in the bar, suffocating Mason. Paige drunkenly sings a song on a karaoke machine.
Bedroom, Day. Mason finishes writing. I'm only at peace when I drink.
Mason drops the pencil.
It's okay. You can do it. This is the only way to make things better.
Paige forces Mason's hand on the pencil.
Living room. Paige, now singing karaoke at the party that no one went to in the second memory.
The three stand up in the living room, surrounded by mannequins. Paige crashes on the couch.
Antonio pours himself a glass of whiskey. The mannequin heads turn toward Antonio.
If anyone came into the party, we wouldn't be here. If you had friends, we wouldn't be here. If you didn't call Michelle, we wouldn't be here.
Bedroom, Day. Mason writes the words, if I had friends, I wouldn't be here.
Eyes full of tears, he takes a pause.
That's not enough.
Write something different.
Living room, night. Paige wakes up from the couch, approaches Antonio.
Mason sits on the couch, listening to them.
He has friends. If those things did happen, he'd still be here.
So then how do we solve the problem?
He is the problem.
Mason stares at a reflection of himself on the television.
I hate you.
Mason starts crying, but his reflection stands composed. The reflection of Mason pulls Mason into the television.
Void. Unspecified time. Mason stands alone in a void. He looks at the camera. He sees what's standing in front of him. A television playing a sock puppet show from the first memory.
The puppets transform into a tangled web of colored fabric. Fabric escapes the television and engulfs Mason.
Bedroom, day. The paper where Mason was writing is now full of scribbles, drawings, obscenities, and half sentences.
Mason snaps the pencil in half. The camera moves up Mason's arm to reveal a page guide in his hand, eyes red and full of tears. Antonio restrains Mason's torso.
Okay.
Ready.
Paige stands up, reapplies makeup.
Antonio packs a briefcase.
Time to go.
It was nice knowing you.
They turn to where Mason was sitting. Mason is no longer there.
Void. Unspecified time. Mason stands, tears away from the fabric.
Bedroom, day. Mason appears behind Antonio and pushes him.
I don't want to die. I want to change the way I'm living.
Now in the boxing ring, night. Mason and Antonio square up in a boxing ring. Paige in a ring girl outfit holding a match number sign with a weapon.
Bedroom, day. Mason standing in between Paige and Antonio.
You think you can change?
Without us?
Yes.
Boxing ring, night. Mason whips the sign from Paige and hits her over the head. Her head rips through the sign.
Bedroom, day. Mason remains standing between Paige and Antonio.
You two are the reason I'm the way I am.
No. We're the reason you're still alive.
Boxing ring, night. Antonio grabs hold of Mason and pushes him away.
Mason and Antonio exchange blows back and forth. Bedroom, day.
You two are the reason why I am the way I am.
We just wanted to protect you.
Boxing ring, night. Mason uppercuts Antonio, causing him to fall into Paige. Bedroom, bed.
I don't need you anymore.
Paige removes her lipstick.
Got all dressed up for nothing.
Antonio unpacks his briefcase. Mason catches his breath, eyes shut. He slowly opens them. Rubs his eyes. Antonio and Paige disappear. Sits on the bed, rests his back against the wall. He sits for 2 days.
Bedroom, morning. Mason finishes getting dressed and walks out of his room, forgetting to close the door. He walks back and closes the door.
Hallway. Mason walks down the hallway to Jennifer's office.
He turns over his shoulder, expecting to find Antonio and Paige. The hallway remains empty.
Therapist's office. Mason enters to see Jennifer's seat empty. He turns his head to look for her.
Good morning.
Shit!
I'm so sorry. How are you feeling this morning?
Mason takes a beat before answering.
Not great. I was just. Last night was rough. But I'm here.
Are you okay with continuing our conversation from yesterday?
Mason rubs his knuckles as he looks over his shoulder, expecting a response from Antonio and Paige.
Yeah. After I told you, I kept expecting some kind of catastrophe to happen. Like some asteroid would hit.
Jennifer inspects the room.
Everything seems fine to me. What's worrying you now?
Car crash.
What about it?
Mason takes a deep inhale and fights the urge to look over his shoulder.
It was so irresponsible. Someone could have died.
You could have died,
Yes, but also someone else. There could have been kids playing.
but there wasn't.
I didn't know that.
A lot of things could have happened. And you're right, someone could have gotten hurt. But you're the one that got hurt. Badly.
But someone could have died because I don't know how to deal with my own shit. I'm stuck in this pattern of being sad about something, drinking, then doing something stupid. No one deserves to get hurt because I don't know how to change.
Do you want to change? I can help you figure out how if you're willing. Are you?
Yes. I'm so used to focusing on imagining everything that could go wrong. I don't know. I don't want to do that anymore.
The camera pulls back as the two stay in conversation.
Camera lingers on an empty wall outside the office.